All right, this is the June 26th Parking Advisory Committee meeting. It is a few minutes after 6. We have no public, but I would welcome them anyways. Public comment. Okay. The first point on our agenda, 6:05, was to welcome our new committee member and introduction. Matt Buckley was approved or assigned to us as of the last select board meeting. Matt is at a class reunion in Ohio and is driving at the moment, so he will not be joining us, but he'll be at the next meeting. Or I personally am excited to have Matt on board, and I think he's going to be a good fit. I appreciate that. Traffic signs. So the traffic ordinance signs, at least I've seen on Dugway Road, are up. They start with the emergency zone nomenclature that we came up with. In the middle, there's a pair of signs pointing each direction saying 1 mile either way to remind people. They look fine. I thought it might be a little confusing that in that area where there's no parking permitted, there are still signs that say parking off the travel, please park off the travel portion of the road. And so I think maybe we'll have to chat with Pete about maybe replacing those with no parking on the side of the road. So maybe I'll say thoughts on that. I did last Friday or Saturday was a very hot, sticky day, and the beaches were closed, and they were towing cars. So
who are they?
that's a great question. Be There Towing was the, I don't know who tapped the cars. I don't know if it was Heidelberg PD or State PD or maybe our Richmond officer was working that day. I don't know.
So they kind of like tag them somehow or somehow communicate to the.
I think they have to tag them, right?
Yeah.
I think they have to. Yeah, I don't think obviously the towing company can go up there and go this one, this one, this one, this one. They have to have somebody of authority say you can tow these.
They physically put some tag on the car.
Yeah, I believe so. So again, I think they look fine. I think my only concern would be a little bit that the message might be a little bit convoluted with the signs up there saying no parking on travel portion of the road.
Really, it should say no parking at all, but yeah, replace them. Are you gonna talk to Pete about that?
I can follow up, Pete, on it.
Great. Speaking about the Dugway Road, we were going to put a sign at the bottom, or is there a sign at the bottom that says new parking pattern ahead?
So there is one. It's not as in your face as I thought it might have been. So I mean, right now there is just a black sign that says the town of Richmond has new traffic, new traffic parking. Pay attention. Remember, they weren't able to put the logo that we designed on the sign.
I have to go take a look at this one.
So but it seems like it's kind of tucked around the corner a little bit.
Okay.
It's not as, there's this great 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign at the end of Gail Obie's lawn, which is really in your face. And I'd asked Pete if he could put the new parking ordinance in effect sign underneath that. And he said, we really frown on trying to put more than one sign on a post, which I didn't know, so I learned that. So plan B was kind of around the corner, behind the tree, not in your face.
Does it make sense if we were to do a sandwich board, kind of like, or one of those like our park, recreational parking signs, one of those ones you can just get done at like Staples that says new parking pattern ahead, stick it there on both ends?
If it's not attached to the ground, it could disappear, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try it.
It's a good, yes, many of my signs have disappeared. Yes, it could do that.
It's been an interesting summer because we've kind of slowly leaked into the warmer weather, and it hasn't really hit us for more than a couple of days in a row. In my mind, I'm always picturing, June 15th, it all goes crazy and we put signs up and we put a flashing light up that says new parking in effect and all that. But it would have been a waste of time because, June 16th, it was 40 degrees of rain, so I mean, I agree that it may be around July 4th, but maybe put something out there that's a little bit more robust.
What do you guys think?
Well, I haven't seen the sign that Chuck says is hard to read, but I'll take his word for it. I don't have any, I guess I'm not eager to paint it myself and no objections to the idea.
Okay,
Do you have one down on your road? Is there a new parking ordinance sign down there introducing, I thought we were supposed to
No.
put one down on your road too.
no, we were just putting one on Dugway.
I thought we had one on East Cochran saying new parking rules in effect. And then we had one on Dugway.
No, just on Dugway, both ends. Is it on the other end also?
Hopefully.
So,
Were there any cars parked on the uphill side of the road that were getting towed? Oh,
Yeah, there were 4 cars that were parked where we don't want them to park. One of them quite flagrantly underneath the sign that says no parking this side of the road.
okay.
But I believe I saw that car get towed. Hello, Lisa.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Hey, we can hear you. Great. Wow. Thanks for joining.
I gotta turn my sound up.
we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you nicely, so maybe it's on our end.
Oh, no, there, okay, there we go. Anyway, somebody said something and I didn't reply, so.
There you go. So we're just commenting about, we have the new signage on Dugway Road now. On
Good.
no parking, this side of the road.
Excellent.
Yeah, we think that's a good start. That we still have some signs that are in the area where we're no parking side of the road that say no parking on travel portion of the road. So
Mhm.
we think there might be a little mixed message there. So we're gonna reach out to Pete and either replace those with no parking this side of road, or at least take those down.
Yeah, yeah. Clarity is best. And then if people don't understand it, well, they can be educated.
Yeah.
And that's what Andy does.
We don't feel weather-wise, we've had a real test this year. Anyways, we haven't had that 2 or 3 days in the 90s yet, and
Right.
the beaches have been closed, but they've been closed because of the stormwater. Because we have so much rain that there's so much stormwater so that hasn't pushed people our way yet either, so we'll have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably coming, probably 4th of July and right after, I think there's gonna be a huge interest in
I think
triple
you're-
buckets.
Yes, I think you're probably exactly right on that.
If there was a cyanobacteria closure levy today,
There was Burlington Beach. When did I send it to you? 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Sinovac
Yeah.
at Letty,
Yeah,
at North Beach and then at Letty.
Right. They raised the warning today, or they removed the ban, but it might come back.
Yeah, but I'm always thinking that's a stormwater issue, that the stormwater is not, the sewer treatment plant is not capable of controlling the stormwater, and thus
Right.
the cyanobacteria coming
Right.
in.
Many plants, you're exactly right. When the storm water comes in and mixes with the sewage, they can't handle the total outflow, so they just let it go. They can't store it, so they have nowhere to put it.
Seems early this year, 'cause it must be from the rain.
Right, I think other years you get it just because the water is hot and stagnant,
Yes.
and
yeah.
the blue green algae grows and all that kind of stuff. I think we're in a different mode right now.
Hmm.
So now that the signs are up, what's our feeling on the press release?
Before you leave do you want me just to write up a sign and get past the
Oh, good.
ribbon and have Pete look at it? Sort of like the banner, maybe agree on it before the 4th of July or something, which is coming up.
Right,
Yes, is that helpful? Well, we're talking about, like either a sandwich board or one of those political size signs that just says, new parking pattern ahead for the Dugway Road, both sides. Just so people can be ready for it and look for it, I don't. But Pete always tells me more signs don't make people read them, Diane. So I don't know what to do. I'm a big communication person. I do read signs. I also read meeting minutes, so I know not everybody's like me. So I don't know. So,
I think the most effective signs I've seen in Richmond were for 4th of July or something, they had the barber stall style signs, you're driving into town, And each one had a line like 4th of July, it's
Oh,
coming soon, be at the parade, or you'll be a goon, or whatever it was. Dude, you had to read what that next sign had to say.
I haven't
Well, we
heard
could-
Barbasol in years. Oh,
We could do the same thing. I don't know, we're not sure what the words might be to going up. We'll play that offline.
We could have fun.
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe I would be for trying to
All right, I'm gonna just,
work with Pete, figure out something, even if we put it,
yeah, if we decide on something, it should really say the rich, town of Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. More information on both ends.
yeah. I guess when they're calling Richmond PD now for towing, for parking problems, they end up going through dispatch and state police. And then state police dispatches, maybe Heinsberg? They go up there and ticket and tow? That makes sense?
yeah, Heinsberg, our phone rings at Heinsberg's station. If you call our number, because there's no one there answering our phone. So it does go to Heinsberg and they kind of decide what to do with the call. And I think to forward it from there to the state police would be a human doing that. Unless they're not answering, in which case I think VSP is the default.
So maybe it was a weekend or a night or something when nobody was in Heinsberg. And
Yeah.
then they're all routed to VSP anyways.
That could be, I don't know. I'll ask that question because I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm ready for.
That's all. Different subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're gonna play with new signage.
Yeah.
Talk to Pete, I'll chat with Pete about
Yeah.
the replacing or at least removal of the travel portion of road signs. Press release,
Now.
is it time?
Yes, yes. The press release should go out. Time for the press release.
Oh, when, what date? We were gonna run it by Josh whenever. it was.
Josh has it.
Josh has it.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't feel like it should go out until all the signage was up.
Uh,
Do you feel okay with that now?
Yes,
What are our thoughts on putting a press release on town front porch forums other than ours?
Yes,
You
Let's
don't
ask
think
that.
that'll stir the pot too much?
I think it's all about communication. It's all about, and press releases are about information. So I think, we could ask Josh, what routes are they, what outlets are they are gonna put it out on, and then ask front porch forums also. Do you want me to ask him that?
You wanna handle the press release as far as
Yep,
telling,
Yep.
asking
Sounds
Josh to
great.
release it and the rest? You okay with that, John?
yes.
so I will talk to Josh. And ask the outlets. And broad.
Well, not being a front porch forum guru, I assume that we will
Hold on, answer.
have to become members of the South Berlin Front Porch Forum, or have somebody who's on there pass it on.
I think there's people that have, I think towns can,
A more global reach.
yeah, have more global reach,
Okay.
I believe.
I know I couldn't get that one on the Trails Committee having a meeting for South Berlin. Somebody had to send that to me.
Yeah, I think for just regular members, you can say allow it to be listed on other front porch forums, but maybe there's an algorithm that decides what
There you
gets
go.
listed. So perhaps Josh does have the ability to do
Yeah.
that.
I will ask that. What things to do. Okay,
All right, are we good on the press release?
I'm good.
Yes.
So communication with the trails and water users, I guess this kind of segues in what we're talking about is
Yeah, so we, John Cone and I, talked to the Trails Committee last Wednesday, I think it was last Wednesday, for a short bit, and we're gonna meet with them this week. They're all about improving the signage all along the trails and, do believe where to point out all the accesses, whether it be for the water or for parking or for, everything. So, we haven't confirmed on when we're gonna get together this week. We're having some scheduling issues, but hopefully this week, either Thursday night or Friday. Just more, two of them and John Cohn and I were gonna just sort of say, okay, I'm not sure if we're gonna be down Overocker or where. They like all the ideas. They love the kiosk idea and they love even putting a picnic table there. And they're all about,
Good.
creating good trails. So we can report back to that after
Okay.
you do that. Is there anything that any of you want me to bring to them?
I guess. If it gets into relocating the river trail, then that may be beyond our. Area of concentration, perhaps that's not on the table for your discussion.
Oh, really, it was Overocker
Yeah,
and beach access from there.
yeah,
But I'll ask that question if they.
I owe you a little bit, John, because I was also a little concerned that we were reaching outside of our specific task as a parking area.
oh, just a reminder that. There was. John Cart wanted to relocate the trail away from the river and wanted to combine these things, and that made me hesitant to get involved, but you can see where it goes.
Yeah, that's, we kept it very
Yeah,
close.
okay.
We kept it very specific to Overocker Park and the Beacon Canoe access, that parking area
Yeah,
there. And, not the old Beacon, the grass area. Just to try to encourage people to use those parking areas and access the river in anticipation of, Dugway and other places more difficult to
Right.
reach. So my saying that makes me realize that we should probably get on it sooner than later, because the 4th is coming.
A quick backstep, Lisa, thank you and the select board for having Matt Buckley join us. I think he's gonna be a good fit. He's actually driving home from a class reunion tonight, but he will be at our next meeting. He's a good guy.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, that's for you guys to determine, and if he's not good, let us know. We'll remove him quietly, of course. But yeah, I'd love to see you guys up to full speed. And let's see, do you have 5 again? Because I know Kevin's not here, and Chuck, you are here, so.
We have 5.
We have 5.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
Yeah,
great.
John's not here tonight.
Right.
John squared and
Yeah.
3 of us.
Yeah. John's. All right.
So the other thing we talked about, maybe this wasn't the right place for it, was last week we talked about, or last meeting. We talked about having some kind of a meeting where all the committees got together
Uh-huh.
and discussed their common goals and kind of a more cohesive plan, and we never know what anyone's doing.
Diane and I have seen the emails back and forth. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I've tried to stay out of the middle of it, but thank you for copying me on those, because
Yeah.
Chuck, it's one of those
So-
questions that doesn't have an answer, I think.
So, yeah, that's right. Well, I have an idea. After last meeting, I did send a note. I think I copied you on, I copied you on it. I sent it to Josh and Duncan, because whenever I send anything to Josh, I always send it to Duncan.
Mhm.
And I said, hey, it was kind of an interesting idea, can we all do this? And it was from John Cohn and I, and well received. Wow, great idea. not so sure how it fits into the, what is it called? Open,
Meeting law.
open
Open
meeting
meeting
law,
law, yeah.
open meeting law. So do we have to like invite the public? And, I think we're still waiting for more clarity on that. I think I'll have to take another look at those email, but I was thinking, could we have a, you know, dessert evening with the other committees, and just sort of say what we do. So parking advisory, we say, this is what we do, this is who we are. We don't say, if we just keep it to like, we will talk no business. If anyone wants to talk business, they can schedule a time outside of the
Mhm.
dessert greet and meet. So I was gonna send that to you and Josh.
The-
It would be-
Yeah, you want a response or no?
Yeah, do you have a response?
Well, I have my own opinions and somewhat based in fact, but the problem there is it's hard to tell when you see people's mouths moving what they're talking about. And the fear, I think Josh's fear is that there is so much there's such a penalty, I wouldn't say penalty, but there's such a penalty for conducting business the wrong way that he doesn't want to even get anywhere close to that. And people in a committee talking almost invariably will talk about something that their common interest, has, on the committee. And even if they're not making policy or making a decision or even passing information on, it can look that way. And his concern is that if it looks that way, then people will think that's what's going on. Maybe there are suspicious people in the town. I don't know. I've never run into this, but he does not want to run afoul of or have any of us run afoul of the open meetings law. And I'm thinking, doggone it, I agree with you. And Diane, thank you for sending that message back, and all you guys for keeping this going, because I know I've been on committees before here and other places, and it's after a while, it tends to get into a rut in the sense of, are what we're doing, is it accomplishing anything? Are we having a beneficial effect? Is this worth doing? It's good to hear from other groups, and it's also good to hear from the community at large occasionally on that topic. And it would be better than to just have one of your people stand up at a select board meeting and say, here's what we did last month. We could read the minutes if we want to know. It needs to be more personable, and it needs to be directed, it needs to be a thanks directed to the people doing this work. All our committees work hard, and I'd love to see them acknowledged for the effort they're making and the progress. I mean, there's some amazing things coming out of your committee and others that wouldn't have happened any other way. So it's a shame to have that under a bushel basket, kind of. I'd like to see that light come out. And you've written the same thing to Josh. We're looking for a way. I said, how about we invite the public? Let's go have a big tent down at the Volunteers Green, and everybody be there. If somebody wants to hear you talk from the public, then have at it. Those things stand and listen. I don't know where we're going to go with that, but we're not going to let it die.
I think it'd be great. And you're right. And I think it'd be great to have the public, sort of like a meet and greet and come get just to help some bonds of the community. That used to happen a lot at town meeting day, which is happening less and less. So
that would be a good forum for it, but everybody seems to be of one mind there, get done and get out. So and there are some heavy subjects that can come up at town meeting, like budget and so forth. And I'm sure police department will be at our next town meeting somehow. It should be. It's hard to know how long or how little time you'll have to speak about your own interests, and given that kind of context. But I think it needs to happen, and don't let up the pressure on Josh. We'll find a way. He hears it from everybody, or a lot of people, I think.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good.
It's something that should happen.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do we classify that one as? I'm just gonna put committee meet and greet talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I'm hearing is that we could do this as a public thing. And we would have to encourage the public to ask questions, but limit the interaction between the committees, so.
And actually, if the public is there, it's a valid meeting format. If you guys wanted to actually talk about solutions, wanted to talk about work of the committee, progress, things you're hung up on, anything would be valid. It'd be a little it'd be a little bit odd because a warned public meeting usually has an agenda. A meet and greet kind of wouldn't have an agenda, but anything could evolve out of it. So, but nevertheless, if the public is there, then the law has been respected.
Would you have a non-quorum from each committee?
That's interesting.
That might not be as useful, I guess, but it comply with the law.
Yeah. What was the question exactly?
Whether, like, could you have two people from this committee and a non-quorum from the other committees having a?
That's interesting.
Yeah, John, that's an interesting question. I think so. It's not business of a committee unless there's a quorum. I mean, it's not official business. So if you have less than a quorum of, each of our committees, we've got, 16 or 18 people there, but only 2 or whatever, less than a quorum from each one. That could be a really interesting free speech moment. I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with that. The law says a quorum, an actionable meeting. In other words, a quorum where action could be taken on anything that's discussed. That's what the open meetings law is concerned about.
I think my concern with this would be that we would have to have somebody running the show. We have to have a moderator involved in this. Because this could go on a tangent.
Oh, yeah.
All night long without the XYZ committee ever getting a chance to talk. So
That's a good point.
Maybe we grab Mr. Buxton or somebody who's a moderator and ask invite him to moderate this meeting as well.
Well, we could put it agenda wise as like, each committee gets 5 minutes. And
exactly. Yeah.
This question and answer period. I guess it's not the same as, it's okay, but I kind of, if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask Josh, what does he think of it doesn't get all of us to get to know the trails people, but it might, we can have emissaries, you two go to the meet and greet, come back and tell us how can we better work with, that's not a bad, I kind of like, that might accomplish a lot, and it still may not look good, I don't know. I really respect the look good part, like even, are we trying to get around the rules by doing this? But we are actually trying to get, I will say we are trying to get around the rules, but are we trying to do something behind the scenes? And are we trying to be
clandestine in some way?
Not transparent, intentionally not being transparent. When our goal is just to improve communication and awareness. Okay.
I think, 2 things, Dan. First, it would need to be, there need to be some kind of an invitation sent out to the public just to let people know that this is going to happen. That could be sort of like a warning of a meeting. But on the other, and the second thing is at this meeting, if we're able to pull it off, a statement right up front should be made. This is not for purposes of doing business. It's for purposes of people getting to know what committees are doing, and for people to ask questions that get taken back to the committee and maybe chewed on and decided. Hopefully that would be enough to satisfy any attorney. And really, the VLCT attorney has weighed in a couple of times already. If we can come up with a more specific format and program essentially for them to react to, maybe we can get an answer to this, in black and white from an attorney, which I think that'd be the gold standard that Josh is looking for.
Thank you.
And some of this is guesswork on my part, and I won't tell you which part.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so we're moving on to anything new on East Cochran Road.
Who's parking there?
Let me just take this down, so times 6.
I will comment, I think we commented this once before, but on an outstanding job Pete did lining out the parking area
Oh,
Edmonds, whatever it's called there.
it's been great.
It's
It's
just,
been great.
we're getting more cars in there than we've ever gotten in there before
Yes.
because nobody's parking crosswise. It's well done. It's very clear. It's impressive work.
Yeah, can't say it enough. So it's been really nice living there. Everybody is really happy so far. Really, peaceful. No real issues. There's a couple things that have come up. The parking across from that parking area, there was I don't know if you saw it the other day, there was 3 cars squeezed in there, and they were all on the travel portion of the road.
Across from the
Edmonds parking lot.
Edmonds parking lot,
like
yes,
almost against the guardrail, huh?
yes, and so that's happened 2 times. One, there was just 1, and now there was, I should pay attention, wait, I do know, it was yesterday, I guess. Yeah, it was yesterday or Saturday or Sunday, this weekend.
Yeah.
Whatever day was nicer. So that's not roped.
Right.
Yet there is a sign that they park right in front of there that, shows that end parking is at the bridge. I think it needs to be roped or a couple posts put there. Otherwise, or.
Was there a sign in there that says no parking?
So Pete has it set up from no parking from here, or no parking zone. I should take a picture of these, so we can talk about them. And it goes all the way around, and then there's a sign at the guardrail to the bridge as you're heading in the direction of Richmond that says end parking zone.
And no parking.
And no part or begin parking zone. I can't remember. This doesn't say begin, end parking, no parking zone. I think that's what it says. I'll take a picture of it.
And that runs them all the way up to
But essentially, if you looked at it, you would realize you're parked in a no parking area.
right. And if you're coming down from West White, you never saw the original sign that says, no parking
Very
here
good
at the
point.
bridge.
Very
Yeah.
good point.
So what are the thoughts to resolve that?
I didn't think of West White Hill. That's a great one.
I was gonna allow parking there, so. I don't know if I have any thoughts.
Well, there's 3 on the road.
Hmm.
And it's difficult, it comes, it's a challenge when you're going towards Jonesville, you're up a little bit of elevation, you can't quite see them, and if there's cars coming out of West White Hill, it's just if it's busy and crowded and people are pulling in and out, and you have people pulling out, it's just, we don't have Allison anymore, but she was a proponent of no parking there.
And the route 2 complications have definitely, you and I drive that road home every night, Cochran Road, and it's
Yeah,
somehow it seems like the number of cyclists and cross-country skiers have geometrically grown and the number of cars has exponentially grown. It's like, holy smokes, you take it 10 or 15 minutes to wait, pass and all that. So it's,
I am sure today when I was outside, quite a bit today, and 50 bikers going by, heading down, it was really like, wow, it was a great biking day. And there's just a lot of activity on it, and there's a lot of traffic. I'm really, I'm glad there's not a lot of cars parked on site. Oh, and then there's another part at the end of Jeff Pugh's yard. They were parking right in front of the guardrail. Again, let me go check the signage. It's if you have to like be driving along and reading all the signs and know that you're entering into no parking. I think Jeff took care of it. He just moved his pole over a little bit. So I think we're good.
What has become of the legal parking below the bridge where the bank is steep for the?
No one has parked on that side, and no one has parked on the little pull out, where the cell phone pole is. Nobody, well, that's not true. One person pulled over there when I had seen. There's been 0 parking.
So could one speculate that people aren't parking there because it's steep?
I don't know if that's, or that the field is high and there's no paths.
There's no
I mean,
path.
there is paths. You can I mean, I walk from the
Yeah,
river every day. But it's,
I got my kayak in a month ago there, but,
Yeah.
yes, there was no path. And so the outfitters are going to a different location now?
I have not seen them there. They could be there and I don't, yeah, I've not seen them. So, I had heard that they've started up. Someone saw their sign at Overockers, I think.
Umiak, I have seen the sign at
Okay.
Overocket.
Yeah. I don't know where they could be putting in there, and I just am not home. I also, yeah, they could be.
And now they have the small sign that we put up that say river access, but now they also have a town sign, informal town sign up there that says.
Overocker, River, I put that there. In my garage. It was before the river access one went up, and I said, oh, wait, I forgot, I have a river access Overocker.
Okay, so good, so I think we are doing everything we
And
can.
I stuck the parking one there, not so well. I found that one too, but there's a lot of poison ivy right there, so I just like, I'm just gonna put it right there by the rock, and I'm not gonna go into the poison ivy. So, yeah, so we got enough signs there, I think, yes, so,
I guess my continuing concern is I don't think 5 parking spaces adjacent to the meadow is necessarily enough when people that are biking and whatever use those 5. And so my inclination is just to remind the Richmond Land Trust that, or note that nobody's parking on the steep embankment, and we don't know why, but we'll let them know that potentially all parking other than Edmonds has been made difficult or illegal.
they haven't, nobody's parked down
Yeah.
our roads.
Yeah,
Nobody's
yeah.
parked on the other side of the bridge, that I am aware
And
of,
it could be the weather.
that I'm aware of, it
Yeah.
could very well be the weather.
Yeah,
I mean, the river is up really high. I
oh,
mean,
that could be it too, yes.
John and I often run and then we'll walk, cross over,
Yeah.
walk at the bottom of the Huntington. It was really, last couple of days, it was really strong.
Yeah.
And it was clear today, but brown yesterday.
Yeah.
And the Winooski was brown today also. So I think it's not very inviting. It's very fast.
That could be it.
It could very well be. On the East Cochran, the Richmond Land Trust, Jim and they've gotten a few requests for mowing in the field, and not anymore since a little while ago, but and they're taking it to back to Richmond Land Trust to see what they want to do.
Mowing the entire field, mowing trails.
No, they're actually, the field's gonna get hayed soon, I think. It's gonna get hayed twice, and far is gonna be, it's gonna be haying it, and it's gonna get hayed, so it's gonna get cut down twice. And I imagine, who knows, I'm not the hayer, but the other field has gotten hayed, the one I knocked it down off the river. I call it Bartles Field, where the Bartles used to live. That was just hayed, so maybe they're moving up. I have no idea. But it is gonna get hayed, and that will take care of, any possible elements. So that was the only other thing that came up.
I've always, and John kind of hinted on a little bit, it's one of the issues I feel as a parking committee that we can't overcome, but it's gonna be the bane of our existence, is controlling why people park in places. Some of the best river access places are used by cyclists, some of the, and it's always, I look at the new parking area they've done down in the old Seagulls, which was down in Bolton, by where the solar panels are and the RO and the SAP collection there, and a beautiful parking lot right there. And I still never see a car in there. I think that's for Bolton Valley employees, I think. Have you seen that new parking area?
What is it on Route 2? Where is it?
So on Route 2, you know where the driving range was 100 years ago, where the
Yeah.
little shed sat right there?
Yeah,
Now that's all gone, and they've got a very nice gravel 40-car parking area in there,
parking?
parking,
So there's
nothing there but a parking area.
a curb cut going into a parking lot.
Curb cut goes out there, it's. Throw a number out,
My
120
goodness,
feet by 60 feet
Wow.
with dividers in the middle,
I'll
no
look for
lighting,
it.
none of that stuff, it's not like a state parking thing. But I look at that and I go, well, it'd be nice if we get the cyclists to park there.
Yeah.
And the kayakers could park it.
Is it welcoming? Does it say parking?
It right now, it looks like you would put a food truck there and sell hot dogs at
All right,
night.
well,
I mean,
I
it's a very nice made parking area that you go, huh, I wonder what that's for. And somebody told me it was Bolton Valley's for their employees
Oh,
to
shuttle.
shuttle them up the hill.
Shuttle 'em up
I
the
don't know
hill.
that. Now you have to go.
Josh might have a comment on that. He used to work for Bolton Valley.
Yeah,
There
he
you go.
did.
Actually-
It's in Bolton though. It's right there.
Right.
Mhm.
What's his name?
That's the Smiley and before that was,
Thank you. It was Bill Atwood. Do you think Bill Atwood would know?
I guess it's an operation there, so they even know.
Well, it's, okay, we're getting off topic, but, we'll talk, yes, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going by it tomorrow, I'll take a picture and bump it up. Everybody.
Okay.
Just a curious, again, there's a curious comment that I wish we could control where people park and why,
Mhm,
and then we'd have better access to water.
mhm.
That is, we struggle with that. Definitely off topic. All right, so East Cochran Road,
I don't want to lose that though. Where we park and why is really, okay. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, we can't put on there river access parking only,
Yeah.
right? I don't think, I think we would have been.
Yeah.
The cycling running community,
Yeah.
well, we'd like to be able to do that, so people have kayak access and things like that.
Yeah, thank you.
So leaving East Cochran Road. Do we want to? I know we tabled the discussion or put off for a year any improvements on that area.
What chair
We're back to East Cochran Road,
oh, okay, back to East Parker. Oh, okay.
but at the time, we thought we had reasonable unloading of kayaks, and now because of the pavement, that's become unreasonable, correct?
Well, just. One, so the land trust says they're going to build a turnaround, right? Do we have a timeline on that?
No, that's a good question. You
Yeah.
should ask.
I don't think that's a short-term goal.
No,
No, okay, so right now there's a single place for one, possibly two cars
Mhm.
where the entrance used to be. So you could unload your canoe or kayak there and then go park across the street from the post office if there was room, or park at the Edmonds River Bridge if there was room.
yeah,
If you just wanted to walk down to the Huntington River and play in the sands, that you could park at Edmonds, but if that was full, you can't easily park below the bridge, below the Winooski River
and then
Bridge.
we want them to go down to Overocket or some other place where they could go play in the sand.
But if someone wants to use the meadow,
Correct,
which the town paid partially for,
yes, if they wanted to walk the meadow, maybe,
walk the meadow. There are 5 parking spaces that are
yes.
easy to use,
Yes.
and some that some people would be reluctant to use.
So truthfully, what you're saying is absolutely true, is that if, I'll say it right up front, if Richmond Land Trust wants people to use their meadow, they have to provide some parking for it. And they have not. And if they want to do the handicap access and the canoe drop off, I still say, can you just give us 4 spots? Just give 4 more spots so that people can just park and use the meadow or take a walk and then get back, or whatever. If they intend it to be for use, we gotta have some kind of, but then again. Yeah, we just decided 20 cars were too much, so. So if they don't provide parking, then do they really want people to use it?
Well, I think if it wasn't for I think the pushback from the neighborhood as to how the parking was done the first time, is the reason we don't have that parking.
Yes, true.
So I think the land trust was, my personal feeling was the land trust was fairly frustrated by that whole endeavor, where they were trying to do the right thing and thought they were doing the right thing, and then they kind of got put on their heels, and they're not in a great hurry to take that conversation up again.
I am there.
And John's point is
I understand.
that
Yeah.
that was purchased with some town money specifically for recreational use. And now it's a preserve, because
Yes,
we're not allowing anybody in there, or we're allowing 4 people in there.
yes,
I get that, but it's
yes,
very
on all that.
clearly something out of our control.
Yeah, so the intent was to wait a year and see how things played out. And then the change came along that the pavement got higher. And then the talk was, well, so let's still wait, and now we have some more information that's very preliminary. And it may be that people are discouraged from parking there. I guess what I would like to do is just to check in with the land trust to let them know that the pavement is higher and that potentially that people are discouraged from parking there.
I did tell Jim.
You did, okay.
Yes, we
Okay.
talked about. I had that conversation.
Yes, you had, okay.
Yes, and did say we were waiting on.
Yes, okay.
For a season to see how it plays out.
Okay.
Yes,
So you were comfortable with the restrictions that we added on the parking area, based on the fact that there were still 3 or 4 good spots. And then when those went away.
Oh, there were.
No, I'm agreeing with you, I'm just saying.
Oh,
Yeah, we kind of went into this and said, okay, no parking from here to here, because we've got 4 or 5 spots there already, and we have the end of bridge parking. But then those 4 or 5 spots went away when they
and it
came.
was potentially more than that, in theory, we said.
yes, it
Yes.
was potentially more in theory.
Was it
Yes.
like 8 or something, was that a big number?
There was big, yes,
Okay,
yeah,
so no, I'm just saying, I totally understand what you're saying, and the fact that we went into this again with good faith, thinking we're doing a good thing. And not realizing on the back end that we're gonna lose 8 parking spaces. Maybe. I guess the question I have is, do we still wanna wait a year, or? Do we want to have a conversation, you wanna have a conversation with the land trust and see?
I could ask them what their plans are for whether they're taking bids on.
and the only thing that I do know that, I don't mean the side topic, but they are beginning groundbreak, the dam.
So it's fun, yeah.
Gillette Pond on, I think it's the 8th of July. 8th of July, I think it's the 8th of July, and they just may be involved with. Pretty big project.
Hmm.
I'm just saying that I know that they're pretty excited, as we all should be, and, so I don't know if they've put much time, energy into, I don't know. Would you like a takeaway from this? Would you like to contact Jim, or would you like me to?
I could contact Jim and just say that the initial observation suggests the possibility that people are discouraged from parking there, but there are other factors since like the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that I haven't been seeing other parking other places, I have a feeling the weather has a
Okay,
big
good.
thing to play
Okay.
with than how steep it is.
Yeah,
I know-
someone with a big truck, like Chuck's might think it was no big deal, I don't know.
Especially, no one's parked in that little spot, which is really easy.
Yes, yes.
To park
Mhm.
in.
Okay.
That's like, if somebody was there every day.
All right, I can. Just tell Jim that we're observing and that so far, it's unclear as to whether people are parking there and.
Yeah. I think in general, Richmond has had a little bit of a break with the weather, and anything we did now to react to something would be premature.
Okay.
You can see that.
I'll just make that
Well, I do think
observation.
that's a conversation worth opening, to be honest, is if we feel like we're shy, 6 or 8 parking spots that weren't bothering anybody, and what's the thought process on the parking?
And I acknowledge some of the neighbors don't mind that.
So just so you know, Jim and I are pretty steady communications.
Oh,
We've
okay.
had these topics before.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
if you really feel like you also want to have communication with them, I don't want to step in the way. And that's fine. It kind of leads into roles of pack, you know, like it's just how efficient can we be and who's talking to whom? Like before, when Kevin just talked to Josh, that I found that to be very useful for me. It's like, okay, here, would you ask Josh that? And then he would just go with a big list of things.
Well,
Yeah.
Or you could email them and copy me, and then I could chime in if I had any.
Sure. Sure. We've already had this discussion. Do you want me to have I guess what additional things you want me to say?
Or should I email and copy you and say Diane told me?
No, just, go ahead. As I tell my husband, if you feel like talking to somebody, you should go talk to somebody. So
Okay.
I would like to give you the same advice. If you'd like that communication and really get your opinion with your words to him out, by all means, you should do that. Okay, and you can just report back or copy us or whatever, doesn't it?
I'll send, if that's okay, I'll send
Yes.
Jim an email, I'll copy you and acknowledge that the 2 of you have already had discussions.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, that's perfect.
okay.
Great. And so that's one takeaway. You're gonna, and just on these topics for minutes, so. I'm gonna email Jim. Is there any other takeaways besides these Cochran Road that I don't have anything else listed. I usually try to put takeaways or action points.
Mhm.
I don't think there is anything else that I have written down. Okay. Wow, I like having very little action points on these Cochran roads compared to last year. Yeah, okay. I'm good with that. What are we gonna do with the parking across from Edmonds parking lot? Do we want that roped? Do you want to ask Pete?
Yep.
See, you're kind of like the Pete guy, so.
Okay, so if I'm gonna be
Do
the
you want
beat guy,
to be the Pete guy? And ask, can we have a couple, does it make sense to have a couple of those, stakes? If he doesn't want to put rope there, I can understand that.
are you thinking ropes?
I don't know if you need rope, whatever he feels like. I think I'm suspecting, knowing Pete, he didn't want to put a rope there because he felt like that was where people were going into the trail.
Where the fishermen go down.
Right, and I think he felt like that was, giving a mixed message. That's what I felt. So, however, there's plenty of room to put more in a stake, maybe, or just a couple of stakes. Yeah, I don't think so.
Why don't I present him with the
Yes.
problem
Yes.
and have him suggest some solutions? I don't know if you guys ever go to Aldrich Street Farm,
I haven't been in a while.
but he has put some fairly substantial cedar posts in all along there, technically in the right of way.
Oh, this spring, yes.
Was that?
This spring, he did it recently.
I saw him the other day on the riding around, so both sides of the road, the sugar house side of the road and the garage side of the road.
So where the no parking ends on the uphill side of Dugway Road, you deliberately said, let's end it here because there were some parking places.
So those spaces are preserved.
Okay,
So it's kind of before the row of pine trees and the sugar and the Christmas tree farm start. There's that turn off there that we really like, kind of like, there was like 6 or 8 cars comfortably in there. That's fine, that's preserved. But from all along where the pine trees are, where basically you have the Christmas trees on either side of the road, he has put fence posts.
So it's in the, it's not in the no parking area. Oh, it's not in the, it's not conflicting with, the only thing it's conflicting with is you put it in the right of way.
He put it in, and further up, there was good parking there, but there was no access to anything. So we never thought that was
Gotcha, I understand.
There could be walkers.
right. Well, again, you could go cyclist, you could do whatever. It was too long of a walk to park there and go back to the river or go across the road and down the steep bank. And I'm not saying this to say that he needs to take them out or that's not my place. But I'm looking at what you're talking about across from the parking lot down below and it's possible solutions to that. And that was obviously his solution.
Oh, now I know what you're getting at, yeah.
So,
All right, I guess I will make a point of going and looking at his posts.
yeah. My only concern was gonna be, snow plowing this winter, but I guess he probably pulls them before that. Cause he wants that people to come and cut their Christmas tree. So my thinking is, this is a seasonal thing, again, I don't see any real problem with it, I totally get his frustration. But it is what it is.
I get, that just if anyone in the town didn't want people parking in the right of way off the travel portion in front of their house, put up posts everywhere, that would change things a little bit.
No, I agree.
Kevin and I did have a discussion with him and he was very concerned about people parking near his Christmas tree.
My guess is that if you were to look at the majority of the area these posts are, that you would not be able to park off the California road.
Mhm.
And he's basically keeping cars off his lawn or the Christmas trees or whatever.
Okay, they're
There
not,
may be an exception, as I said, further up
Mhm.
on across the river. There may be an exception up there for half a dozen spots or so, but it's not my place to make an issue of it. They
Yeah.
seem very effective. So.
Those cell phone poles are very effective, and one that the Richmond Land Trust puts to keep people from entering. The field has real, it's rebarred in there and you can't move it, which is great because people did move everything and drive in. A couple weeks ago.
I get it.
It did work.
So I think we've touched base on Overockers.
Yeah, I'll just push.
You're bumping into the Trails Committee down there and having a conversation with them, that's good. I think we could probably throw in here. Any conversation about Johnny Brook or any other of the parking areas?
Oh, yeah, I just gave you the update on, they're breaking ground in July, so maybe we could, up at the dam.
Yeah.
It's mountain,
That's exciting. I'm kind of excited to keep an eye on that project.
yeah. I don't know, anything else? You've been,
I think Johnny Brook kind of, now that it's
Yeah.
open and going, it
Yeah.
does its thing, it's not controversial that I know of. People pose it to some degree and people tend to appreciate it, and I don't see a lot of trash or anything, so. I think that one is,
Mhm.
that one's doing well. I think Overockers is doing well too, and I'd like to think that I'm seeing more use there than I have in the past. And part of that might be because Umiak is down there now, and people are finding it and saying, oh, this isn't very far from the river, so let's hope that's the case. I'm not sure how much we can or should get into discussion and roles of fact numbers until we have a full house.
Yeah,
So,
Um,
my scope there was so much, not so much. Was kind of like how we function. As you say, do we have a point person of land trust? We have a point person for Pete. The immediate concern is to make sure we got agendas out and minutes taken. And we meet the rules in which we've got to operate by.
yes.
I
Yes,
don't mind doing it, treading water, doing agenda. I think the problem with agendas would be, if you don't mind me doing it, I will send out an agenda to you folks 2 Fridays before our meeting. And that way we'll have a week to, we can all come in and tweak it and do whatever. And then give it to Duncan by the Wednesday before our meeting. That sound reasonable? everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you're gonna, so we are doing rules. You're gonna be doing the agenda with
I'll
that.
just do, I want to do the things that we need to legally do
Yeah.
to function correctly.
Yep. And I will do the minutes of this meeting. I would really like to get out of the minutes. But, hopefully we're gonna have slimmer down, maybe a skeleton kind of view of what we can pull from our.
But Lisa, over what Duncan was suggesting.
Duncan was suggesting, yeah. So he's worked on something. I don't know if he's spoken to the select board. Did Duncan speak to the select board? Yes, Lisa, about his format for meeting minutes.
Not that I recall.
I think he's gonna bring it up.
I
he's just
can
trying-
ask him.
Yeah, well, he's got an abbreviated, kind of like outline, which would be great. And just, if anyone wants to embellish more, they can, but this is the minimum that they have to do.
Oh, you mean sort of like a pre-formatted thing to fill out or?
Yeah, just sort of like, yeah, these are the important things, who was there, what.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's doing what was passed, and it's all great.
Good, yeah, that'd be good too, that we don't miss something that's supposed to be included in the minutes. Yeah. Okay, no, I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Right. So I'll do the minutes to this meeting and you'll do the next agenda and go ahead and put the rolls up pretty high in that meeting. Let's get these rolls taken there. Up for grabs, minutes. When I have the time, they're pretty easy to do.
But,
The minutes are pretty easy to do, and not easy, it just takes me.
I mean, they're not easy to do, but I
Yeah.
appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, not easy.
I think they're somewhat controlled and we don't have 20 people zooming in on us. And, you kind of. We're able to stay on topic maybe a little bit better, I guess is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I did see at some committee, at their beginning of their agenda, they said, who's gonna do these minutes, there's different things for that meeting, who is gonna run this. Might be kind of nice, maybe, do.
Almost like a preface.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what happened on last week's
Yeah,
show.
Right,
Well,
like,
this is-
we don't have a chair, and so we're all kind of like equal, which I don't care if we have a chair or not, but if we don't have a chair, we have to have. I don't think we have to have a chair, but we need to have some way of being democratic and doing what and also doing what we're really good at, I think, what somebody can handle rather than. It's all volunteer, we're just doing our time, so. One thing that I have found useful on the agendas in the past is to sort of at some point say anything else.
Good point.
Just kind of nice to throw in like, it was what did I miss? That was my anything else. Like, because sometimes some things happen in the span of when we see each other again. And or after the agenda gets set and something else comes up. So I kind of like a little spot for it.
Well, I had suggested what the select board does is to have changes to the agenda. I can find the exact wording
Oh,
that they
yeah.
have at the top.
Oh, yeah, that could be where the anything else goes.
We could have
John?
both. And I could put that as a suggestion when Chuck sends out the agenda on Friday, is that? I just didn't know if that's a good way of complying with the open meeting law.
So we'll start with the agenda with 30-second summary or 100-word summary of the last meeting. Does that make sense from the minutes?
Yes. Yes,
I would steer it in the right direction.
yes. This is what we did last time. Covered, yeah. Oh, I like that a lot.
Then after, before we approve the minutes of the previous meeting, we'll put in there, what did I miss?
Mm-hmm,
Maybe it's a good catch-all.
mm-hmm.
They have the line after welcome and public comment, additions or deletions to the agenda.
Mm-hmm. However we handle it, it's fine,
Yeah.
you know. I don't know, all that. To have a spot for that, or to just have a spot that puts it in there. I guess. I always like it written down, if I have to go additions or deletions, it's fine. It's good, I don't care, I really have an opinion.
Well, my hope is that by getting the agenda out, everybody approves, then we can kind of tweak those things down.
Yeah.
We'll say, we really need to talk about Overocket again, probably not, but I did notice the other day, whatever. And you know, we all have a more active role in the conversation.
Nice.
All right,
Oh,
yeah,
anything else, select board, what you want to put on the next week, we really should go visit the select board. We haven't, have we? Been over to talk to them, I don't know, we talked about last meeting, when to talk to them. I don't know, do we ever conclude? We said quarterly at least,
I think, yeah, so
is what, and how it's set, which brings me to the point, maybe we want a calendar. Like, you know, March 1st, are you ready for the season to start, or,
yeah, one of our thoughts, Lisa, was that actually this whole idea of committees getting together to meet started out with us trying to find a way quarterly or whatever to do a 5-minute presentation to select board, not just going in when we want to change something or do something. And we thought, oh, well, that'd be great if everybody did that, and we all sit in the meeting. But then again, you have a full plate. We get that. We're not looking to put more on your plate. But that was the origin of this meet and greet thing, was that we feel at some point in time that we should be telling the select board what we're thinking, where we're heading, what we're working on, those kind of things, and not just go there once a year and say, here's some ordinances we want to do.
Yeah, Chuck, I think that's invaluable. I mean, if I were in your shoes and doing the work you guys are doing, I would, of course, we come across questions at some point we don't have the answer, but are we going the right way? And you need that kind of read from the select board, because the select board's job, I think, is to integrate what you guys are doing with what else is going on over here, and, you know, left side, right side, you know, front yard and all that. And it's in the minutes, sure, but you know, it's really hard to drag things like that out of minutes that are pretty much just cut and dried and limited in their scope. I think a conversation can cover so much more ground in a couple minutes than reading minutes or a couple minutes can cover. So yeah, I agree with that. And you know, I'm thinking the open meeting law, we've already got that covered with a select board meeting. We've advertised the meeting and our agenda and so forth. And right at the beginning, our chair will say whether any additions or deletions to the agenda. And if there are, okay, we'll see if we can fit them in. If we can't, then we can't. But the format right there is perfect for having a conversation, not necessarily making decisions, but that would be legal for you guys too. If you had a quorum of your board at our meeting and, we all came to a conclusion that such and such ought to be done, you guys could accept it and run off with it. Now, I don't know if you really want to try to get a quorum of your board, of your committee, to the board for a meeting. One or two of you would suffice, but if you wanted to kind of combine forces for a minute, I don't see why there'd be a problem at all. That might help you guys, because I know we've got a lot of procedural time that gets burned up, just doing things, on our end, and then doing things in your end, and doing and then talking, and then it can take a month or two to get somewhere, just because of the the sluggishness or the awkwardness of the process. So let me run that past Jay Furr, because he's still the chair, and he will be until whenever next year. Let me see what his preference is. Jay really likes to have our meetings end on time, which is generally about 11 o'clock at night these days. But he doesn't want to add anything to them if he can help it. But if there's anything that can streamline them or not take any more time, but make the business of the town go smoother, make the committees more effective or more empowered, I think you jump at that chance. So let me run that past Jay and see what he thinks. I'll ask him to either write to you folks directly or to give me something from him that I can write back to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, in my mind, I see that we would submit something to select board saying this is what we're doing and what we would like to talk to you about. And that way, you've got time to do a bit of homework on it and be prepared, whatever. I mean, whatever you could create on that end would be appreciated from our end.
Sure. Okay. That's a definite win there. Okay.
And the notes make reference to talking to Josh about when to present to the select board, but I wasn't here.
Oh,
Say that again, John. What was that?
The notes from last meeting suggest talking to Josh about presenting the select board. I wasn't here, and perhaps asking the select board is more efficient than asking Josh.
Yeah, theoretically, Josh works for the select board, but Josh does that stuff all day, every day, and he's way ahead of the select board in a lot of cases, I think, and that's the way it ought to be. He's the hired person, the professional. So as long as it gets done, I guess, however it gets done is probably okay.
Well, John, since you have the minutes up.
yes.
Oh. Should I wasn't here and I couldn't watch the recording because it didn't come out, so we want to approve the minutes from June 12th.
I want to do.
Okay. I second the motion.
Oh, they were
I
So that was June 12th, thank you. Meeting minutes. So that was actually a good use of, the recording didn't work. It's nice to have the minutes at least written down, so. Yeah. I feel like there's something else I need to.
additions?
Yeah, hold on, let me just think, I swear there was something else that asked me, so we were talking about, I just didn't. Suddenly, there's something else that caught my mind.
I think we're speaking, I'll fill your moment while you're thinking. One of my concerns anyways, is that we work to get these new ordinances in place and such, and we're, like everyone, we're a little concerned about how this police department solution is gonna work out for us. And just, I don't expect, any answers, I just, we're gonna see how this works.
That was, thank you, Chuck. we're on the same wavelength. So I wanted to either talk about enforcement or, put on next meeting's agenda. In that honestly, Lisa, the frustration we feel in creating these things and then not having the signage enforced. And it feels like, why are we doing this? It's like, there's, in order to, have what we have in our culture of a working format is, we have these rules, and then if you break the rules, something happens. I mean, other cultures may do something different, but that's what happens here. And so if we're trying to like pen in, this is what we care about, we kind of don't care about that. So we're not gonna even like mention anything about that. But if we're going to go about our time and effort in creating these ordinances, or even a no parking zone, or whatever we happen to do, enforcement is a key element. And if not enforcement, some kind of barriers is another way of enforcement. So if we can't enforce, maybe we say, okay, let's get a bunch of telephone poles. And we put the telephone poles down. Just need to solve this, if we want somebody to park there and we can't enforce it with a ticket or that kind of thing, or extra signs, then maybe we have to put barriers down. And that's a possibility. Maybe that's what we should, just a thought. I mean, barriers that come up and down, barriers like around the Bombardier Field, which just denotes no parking with ropes. Other towns have lots of just regular signs up. I was at a soccer game that had temporary, but they were like, again, those political posters, things that said by order of I don't know if it's the South Burlington Police Department, no parking here. And these were movable ones. I think it was for an event that they would use around certain areas where the soccer tournament was.
And you could run them over without
Yes.
creating a car accident.
Right, exactly, where a telephone pole would cause it an accident.
That's just, John, to your comment, I just took that flagger training a couple of days ago. And it
Yeah.
turns out that any cones or barriers that you use on a road are supposed to be designed to not damage a vehicle. You have to be able to run over them without damaging a vehicle.
Yeah.
And
That's why they put those things that move.
yeah, I mean, to me, my simple way of looking at things is like, well, if they damage your vehicle, it'll make you stop, but it's not okay. The lawyers, of course, when they get involved, so that's, you put something out there that did cause damage. So your intent was really evil. So, okay, can't do that. There was something a minute ago, two things, one thing, a fact, another thing, just an opinion of my own. I know you guys see these problems, you're there, you see them firsthand and you're living them. And others, I don't think, well, let's see, Jay doesn't live out that way, but Chris Granda lives up that way. He's not on the select board now, but I think part of the urgency issue is lost on the select board because they're not living this problem. It's there and they know it's a problem and they're not ignoring it. But so, there are many other things on the agenda. That's not an excuse. That's just, how it moves to the top of somebody's list. But the way it will move to the top of the select board's list, I think, is by hearing exactly what I'm hearing here from you guys at the select board. I think that's important. And we are missing that feedback loop element of direct conversation between, your committee and the select board and some of the others also. That's something we want to fix that. And I'm making that one of my goals for this year, is to have a way to do that repeatedly and legally and also effectively. So we'll see. I think it will happen. Something we may come up with something you never thought of, or nobody ever thought of, but I think we'll figure it out. I will send a note to Jay to put you guys on our agenda as soon as possible. I don't know if it'll be the next meeting, which is July 3rd, I think. That's a pretty bad day for a meeting, but we'll probably have it. Let me see what Jay says. And I'll also talk to Josh Diane, again, about, some of these ideas you've passed around and others have passed or floated about how to, a town fair, have some way of getting the committees together and doing it legally with the population there, so that we can air out what committees are doing. That would be a marvelous thing to do. We can't depend on the press. We don't have enough newspapers that go around often enough to really carry a consistent story like that. Monthly, it just doesn't do it. So let's see what happens here. I'm not going to give up on it. I'll keep pushing on it, and I expect you guys will too. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, if you can push us back, so we'd have time to prepare. July 3rd would probably be a little quick for us. So if you want.
Yeah, I don't even know what the agenda looks like yet, but it's probably pretty well set already. We've got a lot of issues coming up. So, there was one other thing, two other things. The Richmond Land Trust was at the select board last meeting, and they wanted some money for Gillette Pond. There's money for the dam. I think it was specifically for the dam, and they wanted the money to come from the, I guess it's the recreation fund.
Conservation.
Conservation fund, and we approved that, and they were grateful. And I did take the opportunity to just mention the parking up there. I said, I don't think you got near enough parking for the demand that you're going to see for this attraction. I said, it's gorgeous what you're building up there is really first class. It's going to attract people like flies to honey, well, not flies, but it's going to be a very popular venue, I think. And who was it that was presenting? Anyway, they agree. And that was pretty much the end of the discussion. So it's not my job to tell them how to manage parking up there or to acquire property for parking. They did mention that the rep who was there did mention that, well, there are things in the works. Oh, really? So I don't know.
Yeah, we are hoping that Pete has kind of come on board with creating 6 to 8 parking spaces across the street from the dam.
Right, on the outside curve of the road, I think, because of the sight line.
Bordering on Lowe's land.
Yeah.
And maybe saving a little bit of money by having some of the material taken out of the dam being used as the base layer for that.
Exactly, which is perfect. It's a one-time opportunity. Yeah, that may well, I hope that works out well. It looks like, Richmond Land Trust is aware of it, and the town now is aware of it. Pete's aware of it. So, and you guys are aware of it. So it's got a good chance of going well.
Yeah, actually, John Rankin really ran the ball on that one. He got us on board with that and understood the
All right.
problem.
Okay, so it's John's fault. Okay, good.
Lisa, how much money was approved for the dam? From the
You would ask it. I'd have to look back at our minutes. It seemed like it was, I think it was like, I'm going to be excoriated if I have the number wrong. It was a lot of money. I think it was 6 figures, I think like 200 or 250. But don't quote me on that. I would look at the minutes before I use that. I will go look since we're still talking here.
There are a lot of people eyeballing that money. The conservation fund that's on everybody's money.
Oh yeah, that's a popular, because
It's on the pot.
the purpose just seems to be kind of universal. It's a good purpose no matter what it is. When people come up. Let's see, let me get to.
All right. Anything else? We're kind of looking early, but.
Could we just, our next, I'm almost ready to adjourn, but just want to know when our next meeting is. So we have that on there.
Is it 2 weeks from tonight?
Yeah, which would be, so we're at the 26th right now, right? So
The 10th?
we have, is it July 10th, you think? 1, 2, yeah.
Comes to mind.
So 7, 10, I believe we are,
It's like a 10th, maybe.
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if we will be here. I have to, I'll let you know. Wow.
By the way, next select board meeting's on the 5th, not the 3rd of July. So it's a day after the 4th. It's just a little bit easier.
We're on my phone anyways, which is what it is. I've got some for the 10th. So as if we're skipping the entire 4th of July week.
Oh,
Oh,
Well, the 10th is 2 weeks from
That's what
tonight.
my phone tells me, Lisa. That doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the, let's see, where am I here?
Oh, you got better access then. What do you
Yeah,
see?
well, I'm looking at the website and, they've got select board as, July 5th and 17th.
Okay.
So,
okay.
okay,
Yeah, I think we should get together as a whole committee before we go to select board. Just to, even if it's just a conversation. All right. That was all. Thank you for the enforcement. Could we have the enforcement topic on the agenda?
Oh. one of the,
Yeah.
yeah, you guys had mentioned, or maybe it was Andy, I don't, I think it was at your meeting, maybe it was Andy, maybe it was you guys, mentioned that if Andy had like an understudy or even a temporary person to work under him for enforcement, it would double the enforcement powers that we have out there. Police department is most likely not going to be a big help in the short haul here. I don't know the longer haul thing. That's one of our top, that's our top issue in the select board. But Richmond or Richmond, Heinsberg is willing to enforce some of these things up to a point, but they're only scheduling, they're scheduling officers out here for coverage, not for specific tasks. So if there's enough officers scheduled for coverage, I think it's 10 to 10 on weekdays and maybe it's 10 to 10 on weekends and 8 to 8 on weekdays, something like that. If an enforcement problem comes up and it's during Heinsberg's coverage of Richmond and they have time, you know, with not other duties taking their time to go out and enforce, they can. To have a car towed does require a law enforcement officer to approve that. To give tickets, I don't know the answer to that, but I would imagine that somebody could write tickets as long as they were enforced, you know, by the town. That's a question for Andy or for Chief Cambridge and Heinsberg.
Is it possible just to say, hey, on the weekends that are nice for the rest of the summer, could you just drive up Dugway and drive around East Cochran and drive, you know, just sort of see how things are?
Yeah, I thought they were doing that. I thought Heinsberg
Okay, maybe they
was
are.
doing it, but that's exactly one of the questions that I want to see posed to Heinsberg, and they'll do it. I mean, coverage is coverage. If they're, you know, forcing parking signs and so forth, or whether they're chasing speeders or whatever, it's coverage. That's what they're being paid to do. So.
Yeah, I don't think we got a good test yet, so I think you're exactly right in saying that, you know, if they're going up there once a day on a Saturday or twice a day on a Saturday or whatever, that's probably just fine. You just haven't had that crazy day yet to see how it's working.
Right. It probably confuses people from out of town to see a Heinsberg police car drive up the road. Well, it's okay. We're in Richmond. We can break the law here. So they just don't know. And honestly, I'm sure we're on very thin ice with just law enforcement. I don't think the real criminals know that we don't have a police department yet. I'm scared that, you know, that word gets out and I don't know what we do.
They will.
So anyhow, I hope
Well,
it doesn't come to that.
Well, I mean, Waterbury and Jericho don't have police departments, so.
Yeah.
It's, I
Yeah,
think,
they're
Is there-
completely dependent on the outside forces. Yeah.
is there any movement that you see on your end with Andy and him possibly getting some help or being a mentor to somebody?
I haven't seen any movement. I haven't heard of any movement. I haven't seen Andy to talk to him about that. I'll ask Josh. I need to talk to Josh about a couple of these things anyway. So I'll ask Josh what's going on. I hope that they would leave it to Andy. Andy would be in the best position to know if he's got time to handle an associate. I think he would. And second, how much latitude could he give him, you know, him or her? I don't know. But there are a lot of things that require a law enforcement officer to enforce, not citizens to enforce, at least to make it stick. So it's Andy and, you know, a person to be named later in the interim, or the Heinsberg police force kind of on a hit or miss basis as their rounds take them down that way.
So, but is getting for Andy to get, like you said, an associate, does that come from Andy? Or,
I don't know the legal portion of it or the personnel portion of it. I think if Andy requested help, it would
Okay.
go a long ways. Yeah.
Okay.
I think whatever Andy says, people know Andy's not making it up and he means it and he's got data to prove it if you want. So I think it would be a big plus, if he asked for that. And on the same side, Josh and company can't say they hadn't heard of it already. If Andy did ask for it, wouldn't be the first time they've heard it because I brought it up at one of our meetings.
okay,
I think a little hurdle that we're gonna have to work our way around is that if we had a second constable or assistant constable or something like that, that by state regs, constables have to be elected. So
Right.
we couldn't just appoint someone or hire someone or have Andy find somebody and somehow tie into the election cycle.
Right,
So-
we're wondering if he can, quote, train someone for a period of time to see if they're, almost like a trial. I'm not sure. There's little ways of doing this, but you're right. It would have to be on the ballot for next year. Yeah, I don't think we can appoint one unless there's already a position created, and there isn't. So you're right. It's some procedural issues need to be ironed out.
Probably something that has to do with the title you give this person. If you give this person the correctly worded title, I'm sure.
That's what's that expression? Devil's in those details. So yeah,
Well,
good point.
all right.
I think we're winding down.
Anything else, John?
Not for me.
Okay. Great,
All right.
all
I
right,
think
and
no opposition, we shall adjourn.
yeah, motion to adjourn, everybody in favor? All
Aye.
7:34, adjourn.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, thank you guys very much. And good night.
Good night.